All right, we are a packed house. If there's empty seats, there's 2 empty seats up here in front. If you guys want to sit up here. We're going to be starting here in 1 minute. I know. We're all going to wait, but please talk amongst yourselves. You guys don't have to be silent at all. Okay. There's 2 seats up front. And then if we need to, we can get some more chairs. Don't worry. There's plenty of chairs we could even put out in the hallway. Welcome everyone to the City Council meeting. I'm Rosalba Dominguez of District 3. I will be conducting tonight. So it's so good to see all of you here. We are going to go ahead and start with call to order. And we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I've asked our former Fire Chief, Gil Rodriguez, to come and lead us in the pledge. Thank you.
Please stand and repeat with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, Gil. Okay. We are going to go ahead and move forward to approval of the minutes for council meeting August 23rd, 2022.
I would like to make a motion of approving the minutes of the council meeting of August 23rd, 2022.
I'll second.
Perfect. I have a first and a second. Go ahead, Brooke.
Aye.
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 Aye. With that, it has been passed. We will go ahead and move on to special recognition number 1. And I'm going to go ahead and go down to the podium. So give me a second. Okay, we are going to recognize Gary Bean, and if we can ask the fire chief to come up. Oh, well, I don't have a document to read from, so I'm going to go ahead and turn over the time to That's you. Okay. Go ahead.
Well, fair enough. Thank you, Councilmember Rosalba. You guys, one of the best times that we ever have as a fire chief is to be able to recognize any of our employees. And this employee, Gary Bean, that stands to my right side, is definitely somebody that we find near and dear to us at Murray City Fire Department, mainly because our fire chief in here, Gil Rodriguez, hired him. I will take it back and say I at least met him first, but that's only because he happened to go through our paramedic school back in 2014. Okay, I was going to date you a little bit older than that. But as I remember him back in paramedic school, he was Mr. Quiet Guy, never would say a word. In fact, he may have gotten out of like at least a third of the class without ever speaking in a lecture. And so you'd think, oh, it's this quiet guy. Well, the more everybody got to know him, and then when he applied at Murray City, he was an easy one. He had so many recommendations, and all of those have just come full-fledged to come true. So let's talk about a little bit of what he does at Murray City for us. Obviously, he serves as a paramedic firefighter. He works up at Station 82, which is the 996 East Vine Street, and he serves on C shift. Which isn't on today or tomorrow, but the following day. They'll be on Friday and Saturday. And so the city will be in great hands as well. That's right. But he actually also does a couple of special details for us, which is part of our cadet program. So our cadet program serves our kids from the age of 16 to the age of 21. And we have well over a dozen cadets. I should figure out how many Chief Rodriguez got to go through. And we were afraid during 2020 with all the shutdowns, our cadet program would die down, but not with good folks like this that are there. And I keep bringing up Chief Rodriguez because it is. He knows the amount of dedication that these kids and how they tie in. They are so important to our group of firefighters across, not just in Murray, but we've had many of them go out across to other fire departments, although we'd like to have them all in here. And so he serves as one of our cadet leads on there, and he takes them in, he mentors them, and he really serves as that figure that they can go to for their high school homework needs, clear to how to become a firefighter need. And it serves as that purpose. If I was to advertise a couple other things, is if there's a project to be done, he goes to it, such as this. We were looking for platoon trainers in EMS. And as I looked out, Nick Haskin was our EMS training officer at the time. And one of the names that came forward was Gary Bean. And he does such a fantastic job. He's been serving in that role for multiple years, and he reaches out to his fellow paramedics, but yet he's only been a medic now for 7 years. But yet he's able to reach out to our oldest medic of going on 30 plus years, clear down to our newest medics. And he's able to explain 12 leads to him, trauma patients to him. He helps instruct. And for all of this and many more is why we brought his name to the forefront. There's one final thing that I want to talk about. Just a couple of weeks ago, they had a call, and it was a critical call. And I won't go into that. But Gary Bean and his crew, he represents what so many deserve as the Employee of the Month, but he represents that solid treatment as they serve and respond out on these calls, and they're able to kind of work through the different struggles. So with that being said, Gary, if you'll come up here, we'd like to present you with the Employee of the Month award, and I'll let Councilmember Rosalba do it.
Well, you get the award, and then you get a $50 gift certificate as well.
Much appreciated. Would you like to introduce your crew?
Come on up.
They're kind of like family. You better come,
Come up to the mic.
At least, Max.
Come to the mic.
Okay. So Max, one of my crew members.
It's like his family, one-third of his life.
And then, like I said, I'd like to thank Chief Rodriguez. He took a chance on me when I was interviewing. A lot of people said I was too tattooed or too old. He took a chance on that, and hopefully I'm a reflection of our leadership, which is very good at this point, and I hope to continue the work and make this city proud of us. We love you guys, and we love the way you treat us and help us along the way. We couldn't do any of this without you guys' backing, so thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to continue conducting from here. Does the council want to say anything? Mayor, anybody?
Thank you. Thank you for your service. We really appreciate it. All of you, every single one of you. Thank you.
I agree. I guess he's gone already.
No, he's right there. He's in the hall.
He's a busy guy. Anyway, thanks for all you do. We really, really appreciate it. And it's great to see the former chief here. Oh my goodness, Gil. It's been a while.
Mayor?
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it. And we really appreciate Gary's remarks because we have supported our first responders. We support all our employees, and we're just grateful for them. And I'm grateful that you guys said Gil Rodriguez because I didn't know who the heck that guy was. So anyway, we are really grateful for our employees and here tonight for the first responders. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you everyone for being here and always showing up for each other. So we really appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and move forward to the agenda to the second item of a joint resolution recognizing National Hispanic Heritage Month. This is kind of long, so bear with me. And when I get to the part where we recognize community members and organizations, if you could please stand, that would be great. I see Miss Lovely Josie back there. And if you can stand, well, you're already standing, but just wave when I come to your turn. So bear with me. A joint resolution of the mayor and Murray City Municipal Council recognizing National Hispanic Heritage Month in Murray City. Whereas Hispanic Heritage Month began as a commemorative week when Congress passed Public Law 90-48 on September 17, 1968, officially authorizing and requesting the president to issue an annual proclamation declaring September 15th and 16th to mark the beginning of National Hispanic Heritage Week. President Lyndon B. Johnson issued the first Hispanic Heritage Week presidential proclamation and the same day. And whereas on August 17, 1988, President Ronald Reagan signed into law a bill to expand the commemorative week into Hispanic Heritage Month, and on September 14, 1989, President George H.W. Bush declared the period of September 15th to October 15th as National Hispanic Heritage Month. Whereas September 15th was chosen as a kickoff date because it continued with the Independence Day celebration of 5 Central American neighbors, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. Additionally, National Hispanic Heritage Month coincides with the dates in September in which Mexico, Chile, and Belize declared their independence, September 16th, 1810, September 18th, 1810, and September 21st, 1981, respectively. And whereas Murray City is proud to recognize National Hispanic Month from September 15th to October 15th, 2022, in honor of historic and cultural contributions of the Hispanic community in our city, state, and the United States. And whereas Hispanic Americans have integral to, let me read that again. Whereas Hispanic Americans have integral to the prosperity of the United States, their contributions to the nation are immeasurable, and they embody the best of American values. The Hispanic America community has left an incredible mark on the U.S. culture and economy. And whereas just as Hispanic Americans have impacted the United States, it is also true of the impact of Hispanic Americans on Murray City. And whereas many members of the Hispanic community trace their roots to the cultures of various groups, including the indigenous peoples of the Americas, Spanish and other European explorers, or to enslaved Africans who were brought to the Americas against their own will. And whereas Murray City recognizes the significant contributions of the Hispanic community in all parts of our society, including but not limited to economics, politics, sciences, healthcare, and education. And whereas the Hispanic community presents 10.9% of the population of Murray City and is an important vital part of the fabric of our community. Barely on page 2, so give me a second here. Whereas in 2022, there were close to 500,000 or more Hispanic residents in the state of Utah. Whereas the Hispanic community have served in all branches of the armed forces and fought bravely to defend liberty and democracy in every war in the history of the United States. And whereas Murray City recognizes and honors the resilience of those Hispanic communities who overcome discrimination and prejudice so that they themselves and their families could attain the American dream. And whereas in 2020, Hispanics from all corners of the state of Utah have participated and enjoyed commerce activities within Murray City, including Fashion Place Mall. And whereas in 2020, the annual purchasing power of Hispanic Americans was an estimated $1.9 billion, accounting for 11.1% of the U.S. buying power, which is an amount greater than the economy of all except 7 countries in the world. And whereas Mexico is one of the main trading partners of the United States, whereas Mexico is one of the main trading partners of the state of Utah, benefiting families in both locations with the creation of job opportunities and exchange of knowledge and technology. And whereas where it is not a comprehensive history of the considerable contributions of the Hispanic community in Murray City, some stories we may never know and some are yet to be discovered. And whereas There are extensive and significant achievements and contributions of the Hispanic community in Murray City. And whereas the Hispanic Heritage Month is an opportunity to recognize Hispanic residents, business owners, organization, and educators of Murray City. And whereas the mayor and the city council wish to recognize and honor the enduring spirit of Murray City's Hispanic community and its history, and acknowledge that is impossible to recognize everyone or each achievement or contribution that deserves to be recognized. And whereas in light of the limitation of mayor and city council want to recognize the following individuals and organizations as representatives of their achievements, services, and contributions of the Hispanic community in Murray City. So this is where I will be recognizing some of you. Trini and Annie, if you can please stand. Would like to recognize Emilio Vasquez, your father, who at the age of 10, around 1941, carried water and brought lunches to the men working, at the smelter plants in Murray City, and is now buried at the Murray City Cemetery with your mother, Carola Lopez. We also would like to recognize your grandmother, Trinidad Enriquez Vasquez, a single mother of 9 who moved to the United States from Mexico in 1940 and eventually settled her family in the heart of Murray at 450 West, 5900 South, where Fire Station 83 sits today. Thank you both and your family. The Munoz family, I don't know if you are all here. Some of you are here. Thank you for being here. We would like to recognize Lupe and Maria Munoz, the family who in 2007 sold their farming land to the Murray City School District, where the district offices sit today. Thank you. And I'm going to make my tío stand. Tío, if you can please stand. My tío Fren and Linda Dominguez, owners of Dominguez Home Rentals, who have been in business in Murray since 1977, providing clean, affordable homes. Thank you. The owners of La Morelia Restaurant. Okay, that's okay. Wiley and son David and Laura Gonzalez, who have been serving Murray City since 1989. Thank you. The owners of East Coast Subs. No worries. Ray and CJ Quintana and their 2 sons, Landon and Corbin Quintana, owners of East Coast Subs, who have been in business since 1991 and are big supporters of sports teams and clubs of Murray. Thank you. To the nonprofit organizations, Alliance Community Services. Anybody here from Alliance? Oh, thank you. Who have been founded in 2002. Thank you so much. To Comunidades Unidas. Woo! Go ahead and stand. Thank you all for being here. Who have been serving our Hispanic community here in Murray and have been founded since 1991. Gracias por estar aquí. To the nonprofit Frank Cordova Foundation and its board, if you all can stand, thank you so much. This board, which raises funds to purchase Thanksgiving turkeys that are delivered to Title I schools in Murray, which is about 3 of our schools here in Murray. So thank you all so much. To our former Murray City Fire Chief, Gil Rodriguez. Please stand. The first Hispanic fire chief for Murray City, who served first as a volunteer firefighter, then as a chief for 13 years from 2005 to 2018, serving Murray for 36 years. Thank you so much. I do want to add, and David, Frank's son, and I were just talking about Archie and Frank, and Gil and I have talked about Archie, and I think Archie has a big presence in this room today. So I do want to acknowledge Archie Archuleta and Frank Cordova independently as being, we are the result of that community and of that generation. And this is us. So I just wanted to say that separately. Representative Wheatley, can we see you? I want to appreciate Mexican American Utah State Representative Mark Achuleta Wheatley, first elected in 2004, who represents Utah District 45, which includes Murray City. Thank you so much, Mark. And his beautiful wife, Josie Valdez, who's back there. Josie Valdez was the first Latina to run for lieutenant governor of the state of Utah in 2008. Thank you, Josie. I'd like to recognize Veronica Alvarado Bustillos, who mentors Murray's Hispanic youth and who during COVID, the COVID-19 pandemic, during its shutdowns, delivered groceries and essentials to families in the Fire Clay District. We can clap for her too. She's not here, but we can clap for her. I would like to recognize the chair and board of Murray Baptist Church, Michael Romero, who revived the MBC in 2019, which supports and sponsors the Murray Kids Pantry and the Spartan Closet. Hopefully Michael's watching online. He's actually in New York for his daughter's wedding. So congratulations, Michael. I want to recognize the organization Latinos in Action, which serves Murray City Hispanic youth by offering an asset-based approach in bridging the graduation and opportunity gap for Latino students by working from within the educational system to create positive change in Murray City. Thank you. I would like to also recognize the local advisor of Latino in Action Club, Charmias Gutierrez, who is doing an amazing job and inspiring students and families. And unfortunately, she's out sick today. I would like to recognize Hispanic Vice Principal Samuel Salinas of Hillcrest Junior High. Thank you so much for being here. And then continue on with recognizing all Hispanic educators, coaches, administrators, staff in Murray City school districts and Granite school districts and district schools which serve Murray City students. Then recognize, yes, thank you. Thank you, Gary. There's 3 more. Recognize all Hispanic employees and volunteers of Murray City Corporation, which serves Murray City residents, visitors, and businesses. I put myself on here because I am the first elected Latina to be elected within Murray City. And I want to thank my family, and I'm going to make them stand. I know Lincoln loves the attention, but this is my husband and our kids. And without them, I could not be serving today and doing the work that I do. So thank you. Thank you all. And lastly, thank and all the many Hispanic residents of Murray City, both past and present, who have made and continue to make Murray City a great place to live. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Mayor and Murray City Municipal Council that the city hereby recognizes the celebration of National Hispanic Heritage Month from September 15th to October 15th, 2022, and encourages the Murray City community to join us in celebrating the great contributions of Hispanic and Hispanic Americans to our city, state, and nation. And I will move this for a motion to then be adopted.
I'll make a motion that we approve a joint resolution of the mayor and Murray City Municipal Council recognizing National Hispanic Heritage Month in Murray City.
I second it.
The joys of coming up and down right there. All right, Brooke.
Aye.
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 Aye. And with that, it has been moved and passed.
My vote doesn't count, but aye.
Is there any discussion on the vote, or would anybody have any comments? Yeah,
Just really
please,
quickly,
Mayor.
thank you all for attending and being here tonight, and thank you for all the great work you do and the incredible culture and vibrancy that you bring to our city. We really appreciate it.
And I had the opportunity to be working with Murray School District for 30 years. And I've had some incredible times with some incredible teachers at Murray High School and the other elementary schools and junior highs. And I really appreciate them very, very much. And also the food service handlers at the cafeterias, the custodians, the bus drivers, the secretaries, everybody, the faculty. They were incredible people. I just love Murray School District to the bones. And I thank you for them and for being there for our students. Thank you.
I'll just be real quick, but I just wanted to thank everyone for being here. Rosalba, thank you. I grew up in Magna, Utah, and my father, holy cow, that came on quick. My father, he passed away about 8 years ago, and the Hispanic community was very important to my father. He had the opportunity with my mother to serve 2 LDS missions, one in Argentina and one in Dominican Republic. And we witnessed a miracle. My mother had Alzheimer's for 18 years, and it was during some of this when they served their missions, and my mom learned Spanish during that time. She came home and didn't really know who I was. I'm one of 8, the youngest. And I just remember my father saying many times, he'd kind of wink at me and say, Gladys, would you give a blessing on the food? And my mother would say it in Spanish. And it was just kind of an amazing thing for us to witness. So anyway, this is an important part of the Hales community. And I just wanted to thank Rosalba for bringing this forth, for the council passing, and thank you all for being here. There was a beautiful spirit here. Thank you.
Now we are going to take a five-minute recess just for quickly. You guys are welcome to stay for the rest of the council meeting. I mean, I always welcome it, but you don't have to. But I do want to come out and just say thank you personally myself. So if we could take a 5-minute break, we'll return. I would say actually 5 after we'll return, if you don't mind.
Okay. Fine.
All right. Thank you. Oh, we're going to get ready to get started again. Now there's plenty of space. Everybody can move forward. All right. That was fun. Well, thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, everybody. Now we're going to go ahead and open the meeting
Just
back.
question, is that the longest resolution on record? Just out of curiosity.
I don't know.
GL, is that
GL?
up there as one of the longest? Yeah, oh, for sure.
For sure. I mean, hello.
Absolutely. I love that. No, thank you for bringing that forward. And it was great to hear and to see the recognition for the community. I thought that was
Yeah,
amazing.
it was very touching, and just to hear them, it was very touching as well. So thank you, everybody, and thank you for passing that. Excuse me. Oh, okay. All right, we're going to now move forward on our agenda to citizen comments. Citizen comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Step up to the microphone, state your name and city of residence, and fill out a required form with Jennifer or Pam. Patty, I don't know why, sorry, Pam. Patty. And then if you know your district, you can also state your district as well. But I will go ahead and now open it up to citizen comments. Come forward, please.
Don't expect a lot because I don't speak well in the public, but I just wanted to introduce myself to Murray City. Some of you might, I got 6 generations that have grown up in Murray City. We tried to open our first business in Murray City. We failed. We've been in West Jordan for the last 15 years, and we're very involved in the community. And now we're going to open one on 53rd and 7th West at the old 7-Eleven. Hopefully it'll take an eyesore out of Murray, and hopefully we can be a big help to Murray. We like to get involved with the police, the fire departments. Matter of fact, we buy all first responders drinks. We love having them in. We love having them around. Army, everybody, every first responder can come in and get free coffee at my shop anytime. We've been granted many awards, from Best of Utah to Best of the West, Humanitarian Award, the Craig Deering Humanitarian Award from West Jordan. And my daughter's going to go over some of the things we do for the schools and the kids and families in need. We raise fundraisers for the sick, for lots of stuff. We just love helping the community. So hopefully we'll be welcome to Murray as well as we was to West Jordan.
So I'm Lindsay. This is my father, Steve.
I didn't do very good.
That's okay. That's why I'm here. Our business is High Point Coffee. It is a local coffee shop to West Jordan currently, but will be local to Murray soon. He was talking about we buy coffee for any man or woman in uniform. So we see a lot of police officers and firefighters come see us, like, we'll be your best friend, your hangout. We give free coffee away to anyone in uniform, including the military. He did talk a lot about the awards that we've received for being part of the community, but we've also are super big on getting together with the schools and doing Sub for Santa. We've helped tons of schools in West Jordan give Christmas for children, tons of awards. We could go on forever about the good things that we've done, but more importantly, that's what we want to bring to the community. Like he said, 6 generations, current Murray residents, and we grew up here. In fact, I just found out that I went to high school with the mayor's daughter, so we're just here. We finally are opening up here where we live and where we already contribute, and we just get to bring so much more. So we're super excited. We want to come to introduce ourselves to you guys. High Point Coffee, don't forget, we're working on it. We'll be open soon, hopefully in the next couple months, but right on the corner of 5400 South or 5300 South and 7th West, where the ugly old laundromat is. So sorry for that, but it's going to be beautiful, and we're excited to see you guys there, to come see us.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else wanting to come up for citizen comments? Clark? No? Okay, just making sure. Okay. We will go ahead and close.
Can I just say one thing? I am so excited for you guys to come to my neighborhood. I have so many residents that have said, so when are they opening? When are they opening? And I said, they're coming, they're coming. It's like the Mervin's ad, open, open, open. Welcome, welcome, welcome to my district too. We are just excited. We've been wanting this project, this place to be taken care of and revitalized and to bring back some life back into that area. And thank you, thank you, thank you for putting your money, your effort, your time, everything into this. You won't regret it. You'll have tons of support in our community for this. And thank you again.
Okay, I'll go ahead and close the citizen comment portion of this part of the agenda, and we'll move on. We have nothing on our consent agenda, and we'll move on to a public hearing. And the first public hearing we are listening to is consider an ordinance amending the Fire Clay Transportation Master Plan. Are we still in that same order? Did we change it? Okay. Consider an ordinance amending the Fire Clay Transportation Master Plan for the Fire Clay Redevelopment Project area. Jared Hall presenting. Come on.
Thank you. This is This is an application for an amendment to the Master Transportation Plan in Fireclay. That's part of the TOD zone, the Transit Oriented Development Zone. It has design guidelines that actually include a Master Transportation Plan, and that Master Transportation Plan includes a grid that we are proposing a modification to. This is the Fireclay area around the Murray North Track Station. It is, as we just said, in the Transit Oriented Development Zone, the TOD zone, all of that orange that you see. And that zone does include this Master Transportation Plan. And that plan has more to it than this, but this is the part that we're asking for modification of. It's a street grid layout, and it includes a bunch of new streets that have mostly been put in as development has happened in the Fireclay area. There's a final remaining street right here that you can see that's supposed to go in right in this area. Now, the modification that has been proposed is to move that street that connects east-west from Burke Boulevard to Main Street from its current location right there just to the south, a block that way. That will facilitate a new development that's looking to go in from Evergreen Development. This application was made by Evergreen Development to facilitate a new development there. To talk about that a little bit, there are some things that change in doing that. Again, the location move will allow us to develop this property that's currently being used for RV storage. It'll allow us to develop that property. It actually also opens up better potential development for the Salt Lake County property that's here, and eventually the UTA property that's right here. It'll take more time to do those two things, those two developments. Evergreen could begin right away in developing this property. But as we look at that, it does create some better possibilities for other properties as well, and that's one of the reasons we're supporting it. It also keeps us moving on the developments in the TOD zone and gets the RV storage out of that area. And on the east side of Main Street, where we've got, as you saw in the zoning, CD zoning, where that kind of thing is more appropriate. Just a couple of things we asked for, and the developer, in this case, the applicant was able to do that. He's worked with UTA and with Salt Lake County to get a development agreement underway. We have letters of commitment from them to participate in that development agreement, and he's been able to modify his plans to include an emergency turnaround for the time being, so that eventually when Burke Hill is extended and this east-west connection can be made permanent, it will no longer be needed. But for the meantime, until we have development on Salt Lake County and UTA properties, there'll be a temporary turnaround for emergency access, for emergency services. With those things in place, we do feel like there's some good pedestrian circulation. It opens up, as we said, better development for Salt Lake County and UTA properties. And the more that we can facilitate those things, the better. They're also agreeing in their plan to continue, even though we won't have a vehicular access on this this north side anymore, there'll still be pedestrian access. So ways for people to get through the blocks are super important in this kind of zone where you're trying to increase pedestrian activity. So with those things said, we made these findings. This was taken to the Planning Commission for public hearing, and it was recommended for approval to the City Council, finding that this amendment can meet conditions to modify that location and benefit the existing plan, that it supports the goals and objectives of the general plan and that district, maintaining that smaller block grid and encouraging pedestrian activity, and that it can facilitate better and more mixed-use redevelopment of the Salt Lake County UTA properties. Our recommendation stands with the Planning Commissions that the City Council should approve this recommended amendment to the Fireclay Transportation Master Plan. Do you have any questions for staff at this point?
Any questions?
What does CD stand for again? You mentioned
CD?
Yeah, is that a zone?
Oh, sorry, commercial development.
Commercial. Okay.
I was going to say compact discs, Gary. That's because I'm old, Gary. That's why. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's why I didn't say it, because I knew it was coming.
Just one.
Yep. And that Backstreet Boys CD is worth a lot of money now. All right. Yeah.
Anybody
Any
else?
other questions? Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. At this point, we'll go ahead and open it up to the public here for the public hearing. Again, public hearing comments are up to 3 minutes. We have If you will be making a comment on this, you will have up to 3 minutes to step up to the microphone. Again, state your name and city of residence and fill out the required form with Jennifer. We'll go ahead and wait a few minutes. No, a few seconds maybe. Okay. I guess with no public comments, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing for now. And I will go ahead and move to any discussions or questions. No? Okay, with nothing, then I'll go ahead and take a motion on the item.
I would like to make a motion of ordinance amending the Fire Clay Transportation Master Plan for the Fire Clay Redevelopment Project area.
Okay.
Second.
All right, got a first and a second. Brooke, go ahead and please call roll.
Aye.
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 Aye. All right, that is moved and passed. Thank you so much, Jared and Zach. And we'll go ahead and move to the second item, and I'll turn it over to the mayor.
Thank you, Rosalba. Diane had asked that I share a little bit on this job description, and I said absolutely. So as we know, the council had created a task force last year for what we called an equity position. And I got to tell you, when that, I was part of that last year, and this year when that passed, I took it serious. I thought, you know what, we could have a position and give it to someone else within the city, but it would not get done like we would like it to be done. I just thought of several departments, they had extra things going on, and I just thought there's no way to get something done that we had asked to be done in the correct way. I felt like this needed to be a full-time employee. I also remember when Kat met with me in one of our meetings and talked to me about this, I thought, you know what, I could simply pacify the council and just try to just move it along in a certain area. And I felt impressed I should not do that I should take this serious and move forward. So the job description it's called I've learned a lot over the past this year. I really have. Sadly to say, I did not know a lot before. But the title will be a Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Advisor. So they abbreviate that, DEI. I asked Robin Colton, our HR director, to find a description for this employee. And she's worked on it really hard for the last few months to be able to get this ready for us. General purpose will be under the general supervision of the mayor, is responsible for outreach and program development that will recognize and enhance the diversity of Murray City. This is an appointed at-will position to the office of the mayor, exempt from the career service system. Essential duties. There'll be other things also, but essential duties: performs a variety of staff duties to ensure that the underserved populations are incorporated and welcomed into city government and the community. Responds to requests for information from minority and ethnic groups and organizations. Second, ensures policies, procedures, program design, and other city functions are evaluated using equity perspective as part of the decision-making process. Serves as a liaison to the diverse community in order to be familiar with their concerns, briefs the mayor on emerging issues and trends in the community, collaborates with city staff to enhance existing programs that will appeal to underserved populations. One of the areas I've really focused in is with Kim Sorensen. I would like to have this individual involved with the 4th of July. I think that will be huge, and that will be a major undertaking for this position, but I feel that's very important. And there will be other events that will take place throughout the year. Several, what we witnessed today is a great example of what this person will be involved with without us having to ask that this will be done. Develops and coordinates reports and supporting materials to be presented to the mayor and council for the information or action. Assists with recruiting from municipal boards and commissions to ensure community representation. Represents the mayor at diverse community events. I would hope I could be there, but this person would also do that. Creates, implements, and directs training. This is huge. Creates, implements, and directs training for all city employees to promote understanding and competency. Assists with internal and external community events, provides marketing, outreach, and public awareness of events and activities. That's another one that'll be huge. We've not had a lot of marketing. And I talked to Kim Sorensen about this, and they're elated to get some marketing done. With what we have coming up with our theater renovation, and to be honest with you, this is Brett Hale's opinion. I believe we need a lot more marketing with those things. Participates in all efforts to promote and publicize special events, including designing posters, flyers, and social media content. Performs other related duties as required. I just want to thank Robin for her hard work, Brenda for her willingness to bring this forth, and then also my own staff, Doug and Tammy and Kathy have been amazing, because this was tough for me. I didn't really understand much about it, and we've spent the last 3 months looking into this, and we're excited. We're excited to move forward with this. We'll have to pull from reserves for the first year, and then we will budget in the mayor's office. So we will make sure that that is a budgeted item. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I really appreciate having more information on it. That's helpful. And it sounds
Absolutely.
also with the new city hall, I think it's going, the position can really be helpful with festivals. And
We will
things
have,
like that.
I'm so looking forward to that, Diane, to have festivals within our courtyard. This is going to be great. This is going to be a wonderful thing.
Let me kind of understand. This position is not for festivals, but it helps
Yes,
give
that is correct.
a
Assist.
recommendation of what we would
Diversity.
look at of diversity within festivals, but
Exactly.
not for festivals.
Right.
Exactly.
I don't want to pinpoint our DIE person to then be for festivals.
Rose, I had, to be honest with you, I had a little of that in there at first, and by the time we got through this person, we thought they'll quit because we'll have them,
Right.
we'll have them too busy doing that. So yes, that is the main focus. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, now
Great.
Can I
Thanks
turn-
for the information.
thank you, Brenda.
All right, Brenda, come on up. So that's just one line item within what Brenda's about to discuss.
That is the new line item within this budget. So I'm here for the public hearing for the budget opening. This is the annual roll forward of the projects that were not completed in the last fiscal year because we're in the middle of construction season. It also, we have several new grants that we receive. We're never guaranteed to receive some of these grants we get every year, but they're not guaranteed. So we put them in this budget opening. And then it also has a small reconciliation wage and benefits due to health insurance changes that are done after we do our budget. And then some new projects for fiscal 23. Do you have any questions? All of the construction projects were ones that were in the fiscal 22 budget. The only new things, I think I'll just focus on those. We have a purchase of property that is happening. And so there is $695,000 for purchase of properties to help provide some more area around the theater and help with that renovation and a demolition of that building. There's some mobile shelving and police and employee gym equipment for the new city hall that will be reimbursed if the city hall has enough leftover budget. That money will come back. There was a settlement of a risk in the risk fund of a case. And so we received insurance proceeds. I need to budget that receipt, and then I need to budget this paying of the settlement. And so that's in there. And then the one we just talked about, the DEI advisor position, I'm budgeting that for 10 months with the benefits at family, all of the benefits that an appointed person gets. And that is $128,243 for the 10 months. Full salary would be $153,891. But in this budget is just the $128,000, and it will come out of reserves. I'm I'm working on the financial statement for last year, and our reserves will be just fine.
You know, that's a big concern of
I know
mine.
it is always a concern,
Yeah.
but I will leave the reserves at, they will be at 25%, even maybe just a titch higher. And then we're still waiting for the first sales tax for this fiscal year. That should come in tomorrow. But the reserves will be fine, pulling out an extra 128,000. It's not a big concern to me. So any other questions?
Nope. Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate.
Nope. Anybody else? Okay, we'll go ahead. Oh, sorry. Pam, go ahead.
That's fine. I happened to see when I was reading over lots of grants coming in. Lots. I mean, I see 6 of them. That's amazing. And thank you for.
And there's one that's not in there that we have received, but we haven't put it in yet. It'll be in the next one. We got the Zap Grant, and it's it's right around 100,000 this year.
Is that the first time we've gotten?
No, we get it all the time for the
right.
arts projects.
But is this a higher amount?
It's a higher amount than we normally get. It's due to the theater coming online.
Yes. So that's 100,000. You said
it's slightly right around 100.
Okay.
Might be a little more, but that will be in the next one.
Okay. Wonderful.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, I'll go ahead and open this up to the public for public comment. Again, you have 3 minutes. Please step up to the microphone, state your name and city of residence, and fill out the required form with Jennifer. Okay, anybody? Nope. All right, well, perfect. We'll go ahead and close the public comment portion of this item. And is there any other further discussion or motion or comments on this item? No? Okay. No motions?
I'd like to make a motion of the ordinance amending the city's fiscal year 2022-2023 budget.
I'll second.
Perfect. Get a first and a second. Brooke?
Aye.
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 Aye. All right. It looks like it has been motioned and passed. Thank you so much. Any other comments before we move on? All right. Perfect. We're going to go ahead and move on to item number 4. Consider, 3. I checked off ahead of, sorry, you guys. Bye. No, just kidding. Okay. We're going to go ahead and consider an ordinance related to land use amends general plan, chapter 9, related to the moderate income housing strategies. Zachary Smallwood.
Please don't skip this one. We've talked about it. We've talked about it for 6 months. I don't want to skip it anymore.
I mean, let's be real. We're one of the first. We're fine.
Yeah, we're
right?
fine. We're fine.
Yeah.
We're fine.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you so much. We're finally to the end of the beginning for this project. So this is a request to amend the general plan, the moderate income housing chapter 9, to be in compliance with House Bill 462, which requires us to pick from a list of 24 items. As you guys know, we started this back in May, discussing the moderate income housing chapter of the general plan. Continued out through June, July, we all lots of fun. So today we're here at the public hearing portion of this to hopefully get this adopted. So we, through you guys' discussions and working through everything, we came through with these 5 strategies. So with the overarching goal, which we didn't change, which was provide a diversity of housing through a range of types and development patterns, to expand the moderate income housing options available to existing and future residents. I'm not going to read all of these word for word. I'll just kind of go over them. So our first strategy was the rehabilitating and or expanding infrastructure that allows for moderate income housing and as we spoke in the committee of the whole a couple weeks ago, I have these 5 action items. These are part of the implementation plan that the state is requiring, that we actually have solid dates and actionable steps. So these lay out the 5 different divisions and departments that I'd be working with, that community and economic development will be working with, to update their master plans to hopefully concentrate those improvements and stuff to help facilitate some additional affordable housing. Strategy 2, it relates to accessory dwelling units. If you guys will remember, back in I believe 2021, we the council adopted changes to internal accessory dwelling units, and this will definitely look at more of the detached accessory dwelling units. We may look at some of the other ones, some of the internal stuff too. We'll have those kind of discussions with you guys beforehand. We anticipate having that completed by the end of next year. Strategy 3, this was one of 3 that we had to choose, that the cities had to choose from. This one is amend land use regulations to allow for higher density or new moderate income residential development. I say higher density, that doesn't mean high density, that just means higher than what it possibly is at this moment. So this is, again, we have 4 action items here to look at the 3 of them to look at the different mixed use zones that we have on the books at this time, and the 4th to look at an appropriate mixed use zone for the Fashion Place West area. That'll come in time and how we develop that. So yeah, those are the action items for that, and they're kind of broken out by year. Let's see. Number 4, this one was the most popular, and so just as a caveat here, just a little aside, we get notices. So when we say that we've mailed out notices to affected entities, that typically means, neighboring cities and things like that. We also get those notices from other cities. And so I've been watching for these exact things to come through, and just about every single city has had this one on their list. So I find that, that is something that every city has recognized as a potential for their cities, as to how to help provide those, those mortgage assistance programs. Midvale has it. I think Holiday has it. Taylorsville has it. So just because every time I get that notice, I'm right on there on the email, send me what you've done, because I'm really curious what they're doing. So again, I'm working with Brenda and the finance team. We'll have some more to talk about that by the end of next year, hopefully sooner, obviously, but we'll talk about that for sure. And then last strategy is the station area plans, which that was one that was mandated by the state. So I have a few listed here, and I've kind of made mention of this before. We've already received a grant from the state to work on a station area plan. So I'm in the process of writing that scope. We're hopefully going to have that launch in October. So that's already well on its way for the Murray North area. I know that's a big topic of discussion.
Is that the one with the WRC as well?
WFRC. Yep.
FRC. Okay.
Yep. So yep, we're working on that one right now. That's going to be in conjunction with Mill Creek City. So there's going to be some meshing there of our cities, since they are so close. One of their TODs kind of straddles just the north side of our Fire Clay area. So it's pretty exciting. So the Planning Commission did hold a public hearing on August 4th, 2022. 26 notices were sent out to affected entities. No public comment was received, and the Planning Commission did vote 6-0 to forward a recommendation of approval. Here are the findings that we as staff have made. This will be in compliance with Utah State Code. We feel that these do support the goals and objectives of the general plan by encouraging greater collaboration between the departments and creating a holistic approach to this as well. So with that, the Planning Commission and staff are recommending that the City Council approve the amendment to Chapter 9 Moderate Income Housing as reviewed. Any questions or comments?
Yes.
Okay.
When you talked about high density and you said it was higher density.
Higher, yeah.
Right. Could you talk a little bit more about that? Because our citizens, when they hear high density, they want to know more.
Right. And so let's take, for example, so specifically, I'll go to that actually. So the actual strategy, and I'm going to read it out, amend land use regulations to allow for higher density or new moderate income residential development in commercial or mixed use zones near major transit investment corridors. Typically, how we have interpreted the state's language there, major transit investment corridors are your TRAX lines and your front runner lines. So it's going to be around those stations. So an example of higher density means going from an R18 to an R16. That could be a higher density in all fairness. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're going from, R18 to 200 units per acre. It's those are two very different things. So it's just, this strategy is to have us look at that a little bit further and determine what specifically can we do to evaluate that and determine if those are adequate numbers where our densities are at right now. I kind of went into a Southern drawl there. I don't know what happened. I'm not Southern.
It's your inner Southern.
Yeah, it must be. So the only one that could potentially change a little bit more, I'm not going to say drastic because I don't know. We have to do that research, but possibly, the Fashion Place West area would probably be the most impacted, I would anticipate. Because, we have MCCD that already allows a certain number of density. MCMU allows for it, and the center's mixed use area allows for pretty significant density as it is. And so we just need to evaluate that and determine, does it need more, or is there something that it might need differently? None of this binds your hands to say that you shall increase these things. It's that we will look at them.
Okay.
Does that help there?
I think that's helpful.
Okay. And Chair, here you go.
Sorry, let me just distill that real quickly, because what it means is, as a city, are you evaluate whether you're allowing a little more density on your transit corridors? And the answer is yes, we already are. So this is one of those things that we kind of already meet in some ways. Will we be looking at changes in the future? Possibly, but that's, like Zach said, this isn't us binding your hands to say we're going to increase densities, because we've already allowed greater densities on our transit corridors than anywhere else in the city.
Right.
That's the intent, is for the state saying, hey, city that doesn't do any of that stuff, which isn't us, you need to look at your situation and not waste the opportunity of having transit corridors. That's where you can handle your density better. So that's where you should have some density if you're going to have it. It's really just trying to direct it to those corridors.
And that helps with correct me if I'm wrong, it helps with the conversation of, the NIMBYs not in my backyard and whatnot, to be able to have this plan in place, to be able to say, look, this is the area of the city that we would like to target for density, and this is how, and that relates back to the state. Is that correct?
Correct. 100%.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
He distills things much better. I'll just go on for an hour. So
It's just that I ranted about it recently.
yeah.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions? All right, great. Well, let's go ahead and open it up to the public, to public comment. Again, public comment is limited to 3 minutes. Step up to the microphone, state your name and city of residence, and fill out the required form with Jennifer. Anybody? Clark, come on up.
Thank you, Council, and thank you, Jared and Zach. I'm Clark Bullen. I live in District 3, just right across the ballpark here. And so right here close to the Murray City Center District, just off of that zone. And I think, great work was done here based on the directives from the state legislature on what we needed to do for moderate income housing. And I like maybe 95% of it, really. But there is just one of the action items on one of the strategies that it concerns me a little bit. It's strategy 3, action item 1 about the Murray City Center District. Now, as just mentioned, the Murray City Center District already allows for a higher density than a lot of surrounding zones. And so one could argue that that action item is completely unnecessary in that regard. But putting it into the general plan until the general plan is amended next year is what I heard in an earlier meeting today. They were looking at doing it in 2023. That putting that verbiage in the general plan, that's the plan, that's the document that we use to guide a lot of our decisions in the city about the direction of downtown, rezoning things. If you look at a lot of the things we looked at today, all the findings, they use the general plan for the staff recommendations on this is what we should do for the direction of Murray City because it's in the general plan. Now, we just did a survey recently, primarily about Block 1, but if you look at the heat map of where people touched about downtown, what they were talking about included a lot of Murray City Central District. So I would argue that you could remove that action item completely and have 3 action items for that strategy altogether. You could amend the verbiage a little bit. But it's saying that we have a directive as a city over the next year to look at recommending changes in the MCCD that will facilitate higher zoning or not higher density in the Murray City Central District when recently the citizens, and if you read the comments after the survey, about 5 to 1, I would say, said no more high density. Occasionally there was a person that said, yay, high density, but it was disproportionately not in favor of high density if you look at the comments afterwards. And so I would say that maybe putting that in as a city directive over the next year would not be in our best interest. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else for public comment? We don't make comments yet. So anybody else? Please. Oh, no? Okay. I saw you get comfortable, so I was hoping you were coming up. All right. All right, go ahead. Please come on up.
Mine is more of a question is if we're getting these more high density and with narrow streets, how is the city going to accommodate the roads for the higher density and also not only for the residents there, but also for emergency personnel? Dave Carr. I'm in District 1.
Perfect. If you can fill out a form with Jennifer. All right. Anybody else for public comment? Okay, great. I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment. Can I have you guys talk a little bit about infrastructure and what that looked like within the scope of all of this?
Sure. So first I want to address Clark's comment first. Perfect. So that we can talk about that, and then I'll go on to infrastructure. So because this action item states that we would review the Murray City Center District zone and recommend changes to help facilitate moderate income housing, that does not necessarily mean that we would increase the density. There are other options that I know that you as the council and in your alternate hats as the RDA have discussed, about regulations on how we can include moderate income housing as part of some of those code rewrites. And that's one of the things, that's particularly why I had this in. This was kind of a give me action item, is that I knew that we were going to have those conversations in the next few months. And this is something that I can take back to the state and say, hey, look, we had originally had this in the MCCD and the council decided that, whatever you guys decide to do to facilitate moderate income housing, regardless if that I don't anticipate increasing density, or if it, you know, is some sort of, some sort of rehabilitation of property into modern income housing, I can take that to the state and say, look what the council did here. So that's kind of why we have that. That's why we have that in there. Now moving on to infrastructure.
Hold on really quick.
Please.
Sorry.
Yeah.
With that being said, could we remove it completely so it doesn't go into the general plan currently?
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Could we remove the action item? Because, I mean, it's an action item still, we're still technically working on, and then it could be amended when we do revise the new general plan. Could we do that as well?
Yeah, I mean, I still have other strategies. That's entirely up to you guys as a body, if that's something...
Well, I think the strategy, it's fine.
Sorry, other action items.
The other action item, yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
So many other words.
Okay. But we can make a motion tonight and then amend that one portion so it doesn't get put in, correct?
Yes, I think so. He isn't shaking his head at me, so I'm going to say
He's
yes.
Like, let's see how we do this, right?
Well, and that was part of my concern when you were talking about density, because, you know, when we have had our MCCD education and, you know, and after we had the questionnaire and really understand what our citizens are concerned about, that's a big deal. And so that's why, you know, that's why I was concerned about having that as part of it. That's why I wanted it explained a little more.
Sure.
Okay. I guess, any other questions about that? No. Okay. Infrastructure.
Yes. Okay. So infrastructure, all of our projects, everything that we look at gets evaluated when we're taking things forward. They always get evaluated by all the Murray City departments. So you have police, fire, engineering, wastewater, water. I don't know. Do we have a chef? So everybody reviews everything. So we always make sure that everything gets reviewed and before we make any changes. And oftentimes you'll probably see them in your packets. That there's a little section in every staff report that goes over every single I don't want to say issue, but everything that they've made a comment on. And so infrastructure wise, we have an idea of what not an idea, we know exactly what we can accommodate and what we can't. And we have plans for all of that. That goes back to strategy one, which is that we're working with all these departments and making sure that we have the right capacities and the right infrastructure to make sure that those are working.
Do we also have impact fees for new development?
We do.
We have.
Yep, we have I think four impact fees, I think. Stormwater, water, park, and another one.
Sewer and power.
There you go. Sewer and power. So
Right.
5.
So this review you discussed is kind of how like the fire click turnaround was identified, that there would be a potential issue.
Yes.
So those are the kind of things that go into the review that you all do. Thank you.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. All right. Well, perfect. Thank you for, answering our question.
No problem.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. I will take a motion or an amendment, either one, on this item.
Okay, I'll make a motion. We're at 3, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
I will make a motion to adopt the ordinance related to land use, which amends General Plan Chapter 9 related to moderate income housing strategies.
I'll second.
Okay. You can take the roll.
When are you going to deal with the amendment?
Yeah, you would have
Amendment wasn't proposed, right?
No.
Removing, oh, you were not going to remove that action. Okay.
Could
sorry.
we propose an amendment in our vote, or does that have to happen first?
That's happened first.
Well, you can amend it now if you're going to, but I thought you said you're going to remove that. If you're not going to remove it, then just move forward with your.
I would like to remove it, but I didn't make the motion, I guess.
Yeah.
So the motion on the table right now is to approve it as is.
Yeah, and I'm satisfied with what they said. I don't see a need to make an motion, an amendment at this time. So does anyone else
I agree.
want to?
The only reason that I'm in agreement with that is everything that is talked about in there is a recommendation.
Right.
It still has to be approved. That's
Yeah.
why I'm comfortable moving
Yeah.
forward.
Okay,
as is.
just making sure
Yep.
that we're all
I
clear.
thought about that more and more, and it's recommendation is the word that's
It's more of an umbrella than, and that, but even within that, sorry, the discussion is, there's still discussion, but even under that umbrella is once MCCD does get refined, that will change. MCCD will be its own entity once it's changed.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think your concern with taking it out is really if we then do change MCCD, we don't get credit necessarily under this program if it's in there. That's the way I understand what you're saying is if we're going to do it as a body, we get credit. If we don't do anything, it doesn't
Then
make anyone.
Then I can say it as an aside.
Yeah. It doesn't
But
make a difference.
I don't get to say, look at what everybody did.
Right.
We did something.
Right.
You know, that's kind of.
That's the way I understood what you're saying.
And I will add to this, have sat in this bill a lot, is they want to see progress happening, and it by naming MCCD, it doesn't necessarily subject us to density,
Not at
but they
all.
want to see development and they want to see a revitalization happening within cities as well. And Murray was discussed in a way offline that it would be great if like we could encourage kind of this to be in that. So with that being said, I guess we'll continue on with the vote. So Brooke?
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. It's now been passed. Thank you both so much. You guys are still here. Yay. Switching seats. Okay, we're on item
This is
number
the
4,
prime
correct?
time. This is the prime
Okay,
time
I'm just
hearing
making
right
sure
here.
because I'm starting to hit a wall. Being sick for a whole week does not help coming back on your first day. Okay, number 4, we're going to consider an ordinance related to land use amends the general plans from general commercial to residential medium density and amends the zoning map from CD commercial development to RM15 residential medium density for the properties addressed 861 East Winchester Street and 6520, 6550, and 6580 South, 900 East Murray, Utah. Jared will be presenting.
Thank you. And I'm glad you read all the addresses, so I won't read them again. This is the what everyone knows as the former R.C. Willey property, 9th East and Winchester Street. The building has been vacant since February of 2021 for a while. Been vacant for a while now. R.C. Willey closed this operation early in that year. The property has been bought by the Boyer Company. They're the applicants in this case. Total is 9.11 acres. It is, as we said in that opening, in the CD commercial development zone. Just behind it is a lot of R18, a well-established single-family neighborhood here that goes on for a long ways, and then to the west as well. This property is general planned right now. The future land use map identifies it as commercial development, as general commercial. This is one of those situations where we did not anticipate the R.C. Willey closing, so this was not looked at as some other kind of use in the past. So we're looking at the general plan amendment to support a change from this general commercial to medium density residential, that you can see that color change there. We are looking at that as a staff, that request, as a method to support an RM15 zone, which would be 12 units to the acre and would allow a kind of a buffer between the traffic of Winchester Street and the residential neighborhood here in the back. an appropriate kind of a transition in that area. The zoning comparison between CD zoning and that RM15 zoning, they're not very similar because one is a medium density residential multifamily zone and the other is a commercial zone, but they do have some similarities. 35 feet is the height maximum in the CD zone. You can go higher the further you get from an adjacent residential zone. In the RM15 zone, you can get up to 40 feet maximum as approved by the Planning Commission as they go through a design. We've talked about that in the past, but one of the things that we look at as a planning commission when they're looking at designs for these kind of multifamily projects is the height relative to the adjacent single family. And that RM15 zone does get used as a buffer, and it's been effective as long as we can treat that well. So we look for lower units in those on those adjacencies and to try to keep them further in the design from those adjacent single family zones. Parking would be 2.5 spaces per dwelling unit in that RM15 zone. Standard retail parking and things in the CD zone would be 4 and 5 per 1,000. Front yard setbacks are similar, although in the commercial zone we don't have rear and side and corner side setbacks. In the RM15 zone we do. They're kind of typical residential setbacks, although that RM15 zone will allow multifamily where you're going to have units that are adjacent to each other, that are going to be shared, what's the word I'm looking for? Attached units as opposed to detached buildings. So some of those setbacks don't really apply. But we do, as the Planning Commission reviews those kind of townhome projects, and that is what the applicants in this case have proposed to develop if they're granted the zoning townhome project. 12 units to the acre does a nice townhome project. You can't really get an apartment complex on 12 units to the acre. It doesn't make sense for the construction costs. So we've seen a lot in the past 4 or 5 years of developments at 12 units to the acre in that RM15 zone. Townhomes work really well there. The general plan considerations that we have looked at in the medium density residential category, that allows it supports these types of zones, the R16, the RM10, and the RM15. They have asked for the RM15. It is supported by that classification if the general plan changes is approved as well. It does support housing options for varieties of housing. Housing variety is a good thing. That missing middle housing in areas like this, it makes a lot of sense as a buffer. The question gets asked sometimes as earlier in the committee of the whole, could these be single family areas as well? And they could, but these are opportunities where we can transition from high traffic areas that aren't super conducive to single family homes and all the driveways that come with them to residential development that is more mixed housing type and missing middle housing that we're trying to do. It supports other goals as such, like the housing options for residential zones to meet diverse ranges of needs, and then also our moderate income housing. These are, as townhomes, they're going to be necessarily more affordable units, but they're also units that get used more as residential. They're more permanent. They have more permanence in residential dwellings. They're not as typically transient as apartments have been in the past, although we're seeing if you look at the data, we're seeing families staying longer in apartments and longer in townhomes than they used to in the past. But townhomes, more so than apartments, will grant permanence to those families. So they have a good community benefit and they provide a good moderate income housing support in that goal as well. We did make, the Planning Commission did review this zone change request. They recommended approval to the council and as well as the general plan amendment. Their findings were that the general plan does provide for implementation flexibility. And in this kind of case, we couldn't have anticipated the R.C. Willey closing and not being viable anymore. The proposed zone map amendment has been considered based on the characteristics of that site. And we feel like and found that the densities that are allowed by that RM15 zone can be managed. And that's really our concern all the time, is if we're using something as a transition and a buffer, it needs to be able to be manageable in terms of its impacts. Because the Planning Commission, what they can do, if this was granted that zone change, what they can do is when they're looking at a development proposal, is try to ameliorate or mitigate those impacts that it would have. So you look at things like the height, so you don't intrude on people's privacy. You look at things like the location of that density and how it will feed out onto the other streets. You try to mitigate those impacts. So we feel like at a higher density, it might be harder to do those things. But at RM15, that 12 units, that can be easily managed through that design process. And then finally, that proposed amendment conforms to those goals and objectives of the 2017 plan that we just kind of went over briefly. We are recommending, again, that the council approve the request to amend the general plan and then in turn request to amend the zoning map as well. Any questions for staff at this point? Okay. Thank you.
Let's go ahead. I almost forgot we had to have this as a public hearing as well. All right, so we're going to open up the public hearing, and comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Step up to the microphone, state your name and city of residence, and fill out a form with Jennifer over here.
Been sitting for a long time, so forgive me for hobbling up here.
Oh, thank you.
Mark Nilsson. I own the property on 6530 South, 900 East. Freeway Transmissions is my business. The property is owned by a family LLC with some real estate holdings. I noticed that my address did not appear on the notice, and would hope that I'm not being rezoned out of business by the map. I've looked at a couple of the different maps that have been provided to me, and you can see my property right there with a red dot on it. Yep, thank you, sir. So that's my question is am I being rezoned out of doing business? Thank you.
Okay, great. Publicly, can we answer his question? Or, yeah, you can move the mic back down if you want.
So no, that property is not included in the zone change, so that RM15 would wrap around the remaining CD zone on a couple of properties on 9th East. The properties that were consolidated and were owned by R.C. Willey and bought by Boyer did not include that, or the corner gas station, or the very far north property as well.
Okay, great. Hopefully that answered your question. Thank you. Anybody else? Public hearing is still open. Public comment period. Clark? No? Just making sure. I want to invite you. Don't want to close it. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment portion of this hearing and take any questions or...
I just have some comments to make.
Yes, please.
As obviously,
Go ahead,
this
Gary.
is my district and the mayor's district as well, where he lives. Really excited to see this finally moving forward and finally on the agenda, but it's been a long time. I've heard from citizens in where I live and around the area that the mixed use was not something anyone wanted, that this is the option that seems the best to move us forward. I know there were concerns with the residential area and the setbacks, and I've met with Boyer, as has the mayor's staff, and they've been very thoughtful in their approach to this and to appeasing, and they have spent an exhaustive amount of time trying to get everyone happy with this. So I'm just happy that we're at this point now, and I'm sure the representative from Boyer here as well will be happy when this moves on. So that's all I have.
Anyone else? Pam?
Are these going to be rented or are they going to be sold?
That's a great question, and we've spoken with Boyer about that. And at last conversations, they weren't sure. We're still a ways. If it's
Right.
rezoned, they'll have to go through the design process, and they'll have to make those decisions based on the project and how and whether the market supports what the market supports. The zone will not dictate that. They could do it as subdivided townhomes that are for sale. They could do some that are rentals and some that are for sale. And anything's possible, and they hadn't been able to decide yet until it's. I think at this point, with the various stops and starts in the past, they wanted to make sure they got the zone changed before they worry about penciling the project out any further.
Okay, and then another question. Do they have to finish the first parcel to start the next parcel, or will they just be able to just go? And
That's a great question. It's not in the mixed use zones. We often have a controlling document that would make sure that they do certain things first, et cetera. This zone isn't like that. It's not set up
Okay.
that way. So
Okay.
short answer is no.
Okay, good.
And we'll consolidate the parcels and redo it from there.
And Councilwoman Cotter, I've met with them, and they have made assurances that whatever route they go,
Yeah.
they will ensure that it is preserved and very nice. And so if it ends up being rented,
Okay.
that it will be that they feel like they will have the proper oversight to ensure that it's well run and stays clean and stays nice. I mean, we need more areas like this.
Yeah.
So
Can you talk a little bit about some of the conditional uses within the zone? Within the zone change?
In the RM 15 zone versus the other? Good question. There aren't a whole lot. The RM 15 zone will allow conditional uses like hotels and that's wrong. That's not right. I wish I had a slide for that, but I don't. The RM 15's conditional uses only include things, they don't include schools. There aren't a lot. The conditional uses are the multifamily projects. So everything that you do that's attached housing in the RM 15 zone, even though it's titled for multifamily housing, you still have to get a conditional use permit to do attached multifamily housing. It's just a given. So those are the ones. The CD zone has a lot of different conditional uses, but that's not what you're asking, right?
No.
There aren't a whole lot.
In comparison, I mean, at one point, I know there was a conversation, if they stayed CD, it could become a club. At one point within the conditional uses.
Yeah.
So this is a better choice.
Yeah, you don't have things like clubs and like that in the RM 15. They're all residential uses. There are no commercial uses in the RM 15.
Townhomes, nightclub. I mean, come on. Right?
Murray needs a nightclub.
There are some townhomes that seem
Percy
like
Willie.
Yeah, no, there aren't really commercial uses in the conditional uses of RM 15.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right.
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
I want to make a motion that we adopt an ordinance related to land use that amends the general plan from general commercial to residential medium density and amends the zoning map from CD commercial development to RM 15 residential medium density for the properties addressed 861 East Winchester Street and 6520, 6550, and 6580 South 900 East Murray, Utah.
I second it.
All right. Perfect. Brooke?
Aye.
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 Aye. And I just want to state thank you so much for working with the community and all of this. I know it's been a feat since COVID started. We started this conversation and I know it's come a long way. So congratulations and thank you so much again.
And I will say to that as well that other developers could take a page out of the book here about how to work with the community and ensure that when their developments do have higher densities, that they are able to work through it with the citizens. I think it's an excellent example of how we can all work together.
Mayor. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the mayor's report. And Mayor, you can take a vote on that too if you want. I'm just kidding.
I love it. I know. Really, I'm serious. When you started conducting, I thought I've caught myself saying aye. And I'm thinking like, oh yeah, I don't have a vote anymore. So.
And then GL just nudges you every time. You're like, what are you doing?
You don't say aye. He's been nice. Anyway, nothing really to report besides just update on the city hall. Sorry that I wasn't able to make. It didn't rain that day. Remember when I thought it was going to rain? It rained after, but it didn't really rain there. But it was supposed to rain that, so I thought for sure we would be in mud. Anyway, I need to set that up. I will be out of town we're leaving tonight for a few days. Did I just announce that our home's available? We have guard dogs and we got the best security, so don't try it. Anyway, Cindy, she's over there. And I just, as I said that, I thought, did I just look at Cindy giving me the look? GL's going to look at me because he's looking at Cindy.
Looks like GL knows where he's staying tonight.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Anyway, so it's coming along. Doug
Gary
reported
will
today.
Watch your house.
What's that? Yeah.
Gary will watch your house.
Yeah,
He's
no
up the
kidding.
street.
Thank you. We have carpet that was laid in some of, believe it or not. I mean, is that crazy? So,
wow.
Yeah. So it's moving along. They're really moving along quite well. And so I can't get Tammy too excited, so I don't give any dates when this will happen because she holds me to March and we're not sure. But anyway, so it's moving along. When I get back, we will set a time to go over it and have you guys look at it so you can go in because you'll love it. None of you have gone in? No. Yeah, you'll love it. You'll absolutely love it. So, unless there was something else. Oh, and thanks for your support tonight. I appreciate that. Thanks for talking to me, Diane. That was nice of you. Thank you. Anyway, city's going well. Really, we are a lucky, blessed city. We really are. Things are happening, and we have modern display that we met with today, and boy, they're moving along. They're hoping for October, first part of October. So we are too. So, and then we also had an opportunity to meet with the owner of Dead City. Had a great conversation. It doesn't look like it's going to work, but we have met 3 times. I have myself, and we have really worked with this. Mike Todd met with us today, and the owner of the property. So anyway, I just want to let you know that we're trying to do whatever, but it doesn't look like it will be opening, and it kind of makes me sick because that's his income. But you have to follow code. I just wouldn't feel good to.
Safe.
What's that?
And keep people safe.
It's our Joey mentions that all the time. That's our number one priority, and so we just absolutely. I would never. I presented it to him. I said it's something I would never do. Override our fire. I mean, he's our fire chief, but acting as a fire marshal, and then our inspectors. Just something I wouldn't do.
And to reiterate, or to speak a little more to that, I know the work that you and Chief Middleman put in on this. You guys were very thoughtful and very transparent and open with them as they went through this, and so we appreciate that.
Thanks.
And want everyone listening to know that you guys put a lot of work into trying to make that work, and so we appreciate it. Unfortunately, ended the way it did, but
right. And hopefully they can come back next year. And I don't know if that will be available to them, meaning their situation, but I hope it does. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Before we adjourn, I just want to thank you, Mayor, again for today for Hispanic Heritage Month, and I didn't say this earlier, but the importance of being able to say what we know orally and what we've been told and what I've been told since I've been elected, and these stories are very meaningful. So thank you so much, and thank you to the council for doing that. It really meant a lot to everybody who was here and participating, and a lot to me personally as well. So thank you so much, and thank you, staff. And with that, we are adjourned.